Anyway, welcome you all. I'm so glad to have you all here with us today. We're just going to talk about some conceptual things about operating specifically in a real estate settlement office, but I think some of these concepts are pretty much universally applicable. The first thing we're going to talk about is attitude, and I have a question for you. When you go to a shopping center down the road from your house, what kind of businesses do you normally see in a shopping center?
Chinese food?
Yep, Chinese restaurant for sure.
A liquor store.
A liquor store, that's true. A nail salon. Yep, a clothing store, a dry cleaners, I was thinking of that. And then you've got your anchor stores, Publix, Kroger, some big anchor, might be Best Buy or whatever, but they're very similar. So, you know, when we say, I'm gonna run Home Goods, if it's Home Goods, I'm in trouble. If I say I'm gonna run down to Target, then it's the question of which one, right? Which one am I gonna go to? Because there are 5 within a stone's throw. So why would you choose one shopping center over another? If you want Chinese food and they all have a Chinese restaurant, why are you going to choose one over another?
Consistency.
Yeah, because you know what you're going to get.
Also, for me, UPS is next to that one restaurant, so I need to drop off my closing packets.
Well, there you go. Yeah. UPS, yeah. It depends on certainly whatever else is there, and I consider how much hassle it is to get in. Is there a red light? How much hassle is it to get in and out of the shopping center? But basically, you know, the thing that sets one nail salon off from another nail salon is the service you get. Essentially, the product that we sell can be had anywhere. There was a country song a long time ago by an artist named Charlie Pride, and it was called All I Have to Offer You Is Me. And this is pretty much the sentiment that sums up our industry. What's going to make somebody want to close at our office, or to use us as a lender, or to write on our title insurance underwriter other than somebody else? Because the products are comparable. You know, sometimes a lender is running a particular special of a certain kind of loan. They got a pool of some cheap money, and so they can make a better deal than anybody else. You know, occasionally there are things like that. Somebody runs a special of some kind, but generally, the product is the same. If I'm going to buy a Corvette, wouldn't that be cool? I can get one from any Chevrolet dealer. I can probably get one from any GM dealer. So why am I going to go to one over the other? Because of what they have to offer me, the service. So we have to think about what kind of service we can provide that's going to set us apart from everybody else. So the first thing is about our attitude. The settlement process is adversarial by nature. And if you don't think so, ask the listing agent and the selling agent. I mean, you've got 2 people on opposite sides that are after opposite things. The seller wants to make as much money as they can without having to give up too much. The buyer wants the best house they can get in the best location that's the least amount of work for the lowest price. So those 2 things are naturally opposite. So the process is already adversarial from the very beginning when you're trying to negotiate a contract. Sometimes the listing agent, you know, has it listed and they have what they're offering, and then the selling agent just, you know, we're gonna write an offer and throw it up against the wall and see what sticks, right? So we need to remember that these parties are stressed anyway. The seller perhaps has got to move. They're moving across country. They've already bought another house, so they're paying 2 mortgages. You know, all kinds of reasons. They need the money for one reason or the other. The buyers just moved here and they're staying in a hotel. You know, they're already stressed, and they transfer that tension onto us. So it's up to us, and by us I mean the staff in the office, to minimize that anxiety. We want to make that as painless as possible for them. We want us to be a place where they can get confidence and calm, compassion. We don't want to ramp up that anxiety and make it even worse. So when we look at what we have to offer service-wise, think about the phone calls that we get. You know, I've got the seller calling me freaking out because the inspector hasn't even been there and their furniture's already on a truck, you know. Or we've got the buyer saying they haven't heard from their lender. Or who knows what. You've got agents calling you, giving you every sad story in the world. You've got a major title problem that the seller doesn't want to have to deal with. You've got all kind of things. Every time you pick up the phone, it is a mystery because you never know what you're going to get. So, you know, in psychology, they say this, and I've learned this to so be true, is when they call me and they're having 4 fits, I'm going to say, well, it sounds to me like you're concerned about closing on time. Why is that? Or it sounds to me like this particular closing date means a lot to you. Why is that? Repeat their concern. Make sure you understand, because I might be trying to solve a problem they don't even have. You know, we're talking about something completely opposite of what their concern actually is. Sometimes they try to trick us into saying what they want to hear because that's going to make them calm, and now we've promised something that we can't deliver. Yes, if that works out, we're going to close on time. We don't know because we don't know if it's going to work out. So we need to learn to be honest and compassionate, and then, this is the hardest thing in the world for me, stop talking. I've given you the explanation. That's all the explanation there is. You know, if the selling agent is worried about clearing this title problem, yes, there's an issue we've gotten with the seller. We're working on getting that resolved. We have a call scheduled for 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's the end of the story. I can't promise anything that's going to happen after that because I don't know yet. I don't know. I've told them I need that prior open loan deed. I need a cancellation, but I don't know that they're going to come back to me with that right away. They're generally, in almost 40 years, I've only ever seen one situation where it was a complete failure of title, where the transaction could not happen. Almost always, whatever the problem is can be fixed. It just sometimes takes time and money. And the seller doesn't want to spend the money and the buyer doesn't want to wait. So sometimes it is prohibitive for that reason, but it's not a situation that can't be fixed. So we need to learn what their actual concerns are and then offer what our course of action is. I've reached out to the lender. I've told them I will reach back out at 3 p.m. But they're going to say, so if all that happens, then we're good to go tomorrow at 10 a.m., right? Don't say sure. Because the easiest thing in the world is to say whatever they want to hear and get them off the phone. But tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, when we still don't have a lender package, they're going to be calling us saying, but you said. So we got to be careful what we said. I'm not going to promise anything that I can't deliver. I can promise that I've reached out to the lender, that they told me they will get back to me with an answer before 2 this afternoon. If at 2 I haven't heard from them, I can promise you I will reach out again. Beyond that, I cannot make a promise because I do not know. So we want to be really, really careful what we promise. Listen more than we talk. Again, very hard for me because sometimes we think we keep talking, we're going to change their mind, we're going to calm them down. We're not. We're just ramping up the anxiety. There's only one story and we've told it. So then the fallout from that is on them, not on us. We have to just be as honest and compassionate as we possibly can. And then, we can say, why don't you speak with your agent? The agents are going to be a little more dispassionate because it's not their only transaction. It's not their first transaction. So we're able to explain to them clearly what it is. And it's their responsibility to communicate that to their buyers. Or sellers. If you can, speak with the agents, get their help. That's their job. Get them to help you. If you see a disaster, the freight train is coming and you're standing at the end of the tunnel, that's the time to go to your superior, whether it's your office manager, directly to your attorney, whomever, We don't want anybody to be blindsided. I don't want to see that train coming and the next thing you know, the listing agent has called my attorney and let her have it. I want to tell her, just as a heads up, here's what's happening, here's where we are, here's what we've done, here's our plan of action, but I wanted you to be aware in case you get a phone call. We don't want to have to go to the attorney every time we see a FIFE on title, because we can clear that up and we don't have to bother them with that. But if we see it's 5 old heirs and one of them doesn't want to sell and it's about to be a problem, then we need to alert them so that they know this is coming and we can all be on the same team. We want to be proactive rather than reactive. This goes back to instilling confidence in our folks that we're talking to. We want to be sure that we are on top of whatever's happening and not waiting for them to unload it on us. We need to reach out to the lender. I don't need to hear that the buyer's not approved from the listing agent. I need to be on top of the lender so I can find out what the status is. You know, we live and die by the calendar, so this week I'm already calling lenders for next Friday. Are we on track? What's the schedule? How can I help you? Do you need anything from me? We want to be on top of it for sure. We want to communicate with everybody. Communication is the key. People can be frustrated and disappointed when things don't go their way. But it's really, really difficult to be angry at somebody who's been honest and humble. You know, if we own anything that's our responsibility, I failed to get that payoff ordered in a timely manner, and now we don't have it. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. You know, you've owned it. What else can you do? You've done every single thing you can do. So we just need to remember, we've got to keep our word. If you tell them on the phone, I'll call you back after I talk to the lender at 2, do it. If you say, I'll send that right over, do it. Keep your word. Every single email, remember, email's forever. It doesn't matter if you delete it, it's forever. Somebody will use that as a weapon against you. So bear in mind what you say in writing can and will be used against you, not in a court of law. So be careful what you say, but be clear and honest. Sometimes less is more. Be aware of your tone. I say this to my husband all the time, you have a tone. I do not. Well, actually, there it is. So how we say things often trumps what we say. So we need to be sure that we're saying things as if we understand, because we do. Even though we have 70 closings this month, this buyer and seller only have 1. They might have 2 because they're selling or buying another house, but this transaction is pivotal to those parties, so we need to keep that in mind. We need to exercise discretion. I used to tell my children, everything that comes up doesn't have to come out. So we don't have to say everything we know to everybody. We need to not reply all to everything, because if we're having a conversation with the lender, we need to be talking to the buyer's agent. We do not need to be talking to the seller about what's going on with the buyer and the lender. Let the buyer's agent pass that information on. That's not our place. We can say to the buyer or the buyer's agent, we've gotten the title back. There are a few things we're working to clear up. But we don't have to go into the detail and tell them that the seller has a $200,000 IRS lien. It's not the buyer's responsibility or problem. So we have to be discreet about what we say. Just remember, when you get an email, I reply to every single one. Sometimes the reply is, received, thanks. And that's going to save you a phone call in 20 minutes when they go, I sent you that seller information sheet, did you get it? Or I sent you the home warranty, I sent you the termite letter. Sometimes it's going to be, I'm in a closing, I'll get back with you as soon as I'm done. And if you say that, keep your word, do it. Just be cautious what you say and what you write. My mother, way back when, she worked for a newspaper, and she said, we shouldn't put anything in writing we don't want to see on the front page of the paper. Well, now we don't usually see it on the paper, but we might see it tomorrow in a tweet or on Instagram. So we just need to be sure I read a story this morning about all these things employers said to employees in emails that now are in a story that's on Facebook. So kind of just keep that in mind. Don Meyer, who is a famous men's college basketball coach, says it doesn't cost anything to be nice to people. And that's the main thing we want to do. Treat people how we want to be treated. Be kind, be compassionate. Sometimes we have to set boundaries and we have to say, I will call you back at 2. And then if you do it and you get a reputation for keeping your word, that eliminates some of that repetition. It doesn't eliminate all of it because people are people and some of them are just going to do what they do. But Maya Angelou said, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. We have an agent that we work with who says that she closes with this particular firm for one reason. When I call, they answer the phone. So it's purely because of their service to her. She didn't say one word about what their fees are. She didn't say one word about who their staff is, how many attorneys they have on staff, what kind of delay she might have trying to get on their schedule because they're so busy. She didn't say one word about any of that. She said they answer the phone when I call. So we need to remember that whatever our product is, and our product from a settlement standpoint is settlement services. This is what we're selling. But remember that the name of that product is a service. So people can choose to go somewhere else if we don't offer them those things, if we don't offer compassion, if we don't keep our word, if they don't see that we're being proactive.